Many thanks for staying with us here on News Desk, and let's move on and do a lot more stories now. And government will today make public a report on a fire that razed down the country's largest medical supplies hub, the Central Medical Stores. Now, the report comes more than a year after the incident, which led to the loss of about 200 million cedis in medical supplies. Prior to the fire, then Health Minister Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Mensah had initiated investigations into allegations of corrupt practices at the facility. But we're told our live feed is in, so let's cross over now to the Ministry of Health, where we are told that the Attorney General Marietta Brewapia-Opong is currently addressing media there.
MDG accelerated framework includes fetal heart detectors,
IMPEX, and the Ministry of Health. Information was gathered that an amount of 5 million Ghana cedis was paid to Volta IMPEX for the supply of 2 million prescription forms to the National Health Insurance Scheme in 2011, when the actual cost of the supply was 1 million Ghana cedis. It was further gathered that though Volta IMPEX supplied 100,000 copies of the prescription form, which was kept at the CMS, the Ghana Health Service and medical doctors in state-run hospitals and clinics declined to use it, describing the form as deficient. All the 100,000 copies of the forms were destroyed in the fire. It was later detected that the procurement unit of the Ministry of Health shielded the wrongdoing. Government has directed the same Special Audit Task Force to undertake this exercise. The Special Task Force would work with the police, who will prepare dockets alongside the audit for possible prosecution of all those found culpable at the end of the two special audit exercises. Government has also directed the police CID to declare Samuel Dogbe, the suspected arsonist, a wanted person, and to take all necessary steps, including seeking the assistance of Interpol to effect his arrest. Now, structural, administrative, and operational setup of CMS. The investigation covered this as well. And I read. As a result of administrative and operational lapses identified at the CMS in the course of the national security investigation, government has directed the Minister of Health, with the assistance of experts and consultants, to undertake a thorough reorganization and restructuring of the CMS, including its systems, operations, and existing checks and balances, if any. The reorganization and restructuring exercise should take into account the following recommendations in the investigation report. A. Future supplies to CMS should be properly documented and stored. Tight control measures should be adopted for monitoring allocation of supplies to outside bodies, and similar measures should be instituted for supplies belonging to outside organizations that store products at CMS. B. Measures to minimize the incidence of the procurement of expired drugs and other medical items. C. The submission of the procurement unit of the CMS to due diligence in the procurement of drugs in line with the needs of medical stores to avoid excessive storage of particular drugs. D. The supervision and control of inventory officers by heads of the CMS warehouses. E. The institution of scheduled delivery systems for the delivery of drugs. F. A strengthening of the internal audit unit regime of the CMS to ensure constant monitoring of CMS. G. The reassignment of the current management middle level staff of the CMS so that a new team of professionals can replace them. Government also directs the team working on the reorganization and restructuring exercise to examine the possibility of decentralizing the operations of the CMS, especially drug purchases, to the regional level in order to minimize the risk usually associated with such centralized operations and purchasing, and the type of loss that has occurred in the fire outbreak. In conducting the reorganization and restructuring exercise, account should be taken of the following recommendations in the investigation report. A. The current location of the CMS facility in an industrial zone is not the best. B. The need for a well-defined organized security regime including the installation of electronic access controls and monitoring devices. C. The need for well-designed warehouses with strong rooms for the storage of vital emergency drugs, as well as a well-equipped fire station. Now, lapses in fire prevention measures. The investigation established that the fire safety prevention measures at CMS had been evaluated by an expert company on 14 April 2014, and the company had established that the CMS had little firefighting capacity and was at all times vulnerable to fire. The specific vulnerabilities had been detailed out in their report to management, but no action was taken to improve the CMS fire safety and prevention measures. B. The Tema Metropolitan Assembly Public Health Department had on 2nd October 2014 served a notice of abatement under Section 34(1) of the Town Ordinance Cap 86, warning the management of the CMS to stop accumulating and burning refuse on the premises. Not only did the officer who received the notice of abatement ignore it, she challenged the capacity of the TMA inspectors to issue the notice. As it turned out, it was the incinerators on the premises of the CMS that appeared to have been used to start the fire. C. Management instructions for action to be taken to stop the burning of refuse on the CMS premises were also ignored. The following officers of CMS were found culpable for the various lapses in fire prevention measures at the CMS. Gifty A.C. Mankata, who was the principal pharmacist and warehouse manager, Samuelson Tete, head of security, then Harry Okwampa, line manager in charge of information and communication technology. Government has directed the Minister for Health to take appropriate disciplinary actions against the three named officers. Government draws the attention of all state organizations to the following general recommendations on fire safety contained in the report of the Chief Fire Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, attached to the National Security Investigation Report, and directs that they should be noted for strict compliance. It must be an automatic requirement for warehouses to have sprinklers that detect and extinguish fires before the arrival of the Ghana National Fire Service. Fire safety officers should be employed in all major health institutions and warehouses to enable them advise management on fire safety precautions and protective measures. Due to the scarcity of water during emergencies, boreholes must be installed or drilled at all state warehouses in future to augment water for firefighting. And finally, warehouse owners and operators should seek expert guidance from the Ghana National Fire Service before and during the storage of hazardous materials, flammable liquids, solids and gases, explosives, oxidizers, and other reactive materials. Thank you for your attention.
Yes. Thank you very much for my Attorney General for the report. Part of the reason, not completely, but part of the reason for the delay in this report is that the key person who possibly gave us a lot more information, Mr. Dogbe, is still at large. And efforts were being made to actually locate him to really get to possibly the reason why, or others who may have been instructive in this unfortunate incident that occurred at the Central Medical Stores. So, as well as the fact that the report is very comprehensive, as you've learned from the statement, there was the need to get as much information to deal with prosecutions that are to follow, as you've heard. And the key person who will throw further light on this is still at large. So we apologize for the delay, but there was method to our position in terms of the delay process. I keep telling my staff at the Ministry of Health that it is no longer business as usual. The report highlights the need and the basis for which transfers, movement of staff is really necessary within the whole civil service organization. When people stay in a place too long for a certain period of time, it is very easy, if you incorporate bad habits, for them to stay. We as politicians know the essence of movement. We are moved around quite frequently. The civil service does not do this. And it's quite clear that bad habits, when they are formed, are perpetuated and perpetuated to the time where you get to a point where somebody can decide to burn a whole central medical stores. It will not be business as usual. The report will be followed through. The audit team will be put in place. This government under President Mahama is clear in its mind that it is going to tackle corruption. And from what we've gathered and from what we've heard, even with some of the Public Account Committee hearings, there is corruption in the system. Systems are not being followed. People are lax about issues that come out. And the president must follow the rule of law, and that is what he's doing. The fact that we bring out corruption does not make that the government of itself needs to be deemed corrupt. Corruption is a nationwide thing, and we should cease to make it political. That is easier said than done. All the president can do is, during his tenure, ensure that he takes steps to fight corruption. It is happening with the Ministry of Health and the Central Medical Stores issues. We are going to continue fighting corruption. Whether it's used against us or not, we are going to continue fighting corruption. It is significant that possibly when Mr. Dogbe comes up, other names will come in. But at this stage, none of the parties involved is a known politician. It's significant. So we are all in it. It's not just about pointing fingers. We are all in this together. And we must all work together to fight the canker that we call corruption. I have been tasked as the Minister of Health to take certain steps within the report. We will be taking those steps. This will be an ongoing process for quite a while. We have already started taking some of the steps. The supply chain management system is in place, working to change the whole process. We are looking at the rebuild of the central medical stores, and we are going to look at items that came from the report. We are also looking at the procurement processes that we use with regard to the purchase and how we can tighten up. I had already taken steps to remove all staff at the central medical stores. Anybody who was working at the central medical stores prior to the fire no longer works at the central medical stores. So some steps have already been taken, but the more draconian ones with regard to prosecutions are going to start from today onwards. I only ask that with your questions, bear in mind that this is an ongoing investigation. It doesn't cease because the report has been read. So we'll take a few questions, but the report is there. I'll advise that you go and digest it. Sorry, the statement, I keep saying report. The report is not handed over as a statement. The statement is out. You can digest it and take it from there. We'll take just a few questions, maybe 2 or 3, and then we'll call it a day. So if there are any questions, please. Well, I'm happy to see that it's comprehensive enough, and quite clearly, yes.
My name is Yelsa from Daily Express. I didn't hear anything about the fake condom issue. And your predecessor made us aware that the company is supposed to refund the money. But along the line, we also heard that we even pay some of the condoms. So we need to find out whether it's part of the item that was then identified.
It was part of the item.
Yeah, it was. I'm told it was part of that item, and it's also under investigation. There's a process that is going on with that particular item in terms of, first of all, making sure we get either the funds or the condoms that were required. At the first instance, we are waiting for the delivery of some of the condoms, and then subsequently we'll look at matters.
Well, we just brought you a live feed from the Ministry of Health there, and you did hear the Sector Minister, Alex Segbefia, outline a number of moves that the government will be doing, particularly saying that the prosecution of certain people who were found to have been complicit in that particular fire that burns down the Central Medical Stores a year ago. They're saying that they're going to be prosecuted. Essentially, those people are going to be prosecuted. And you did hear the Attorney General also give a report on that particular fire. We'll be bringing a lot more on this at midday, but time now for business with Emmanuel Abba.